The Sega Genesis Mini is officially delayed, but is there a silver lining in this? A new rumor circulating could be very good for the future of the system. SpiderMan, it can sell well, but can it outsell God of War on the PS4? The answer may surprise you. PlayStation Now adds a much needed feature to its feature system, and it may be actually worth picking up nowadays. Castlevania could be coming back with a new collection, and Nintendo Online representative says some interesting things about cloud saves. All that and much, much more in a very busy Friday, November 21st edition of RGT News. Let's go!
RGT News coming at ya right now. Woo! RGT 85 coming to you with the freshest video game news. Now take it away.
So recently on the channel, we of course talked about the Sega Genesis Mini being officially delayed until 2019. And honestly, some people were a bit upset by this, but really with the classic models that are hitting the market right now, you have the NES Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic, the PlayStation Classic now, you have the Neo Geo Mini dropping this year as well. You pretty much have to bring your A game when it comes to these classic systems. And one company that tends to not bring their A game is a company called AT Games. Now, if you've ever played a plug-and-play Sega system within the past 5 years, it's been made by AT Games, and the quality is spotty to say the best and pretty poor to say the least. There's a lot of issues with it, with emulation and sound issues. Sometimes colors are off. There's a lot of issues with AT Games' products. Well, it looks like AT Games could potentially be out of this system. When it was announced that it was coming, the Sega Genesis Mini by Sega, a lot of people were hoping that Sega themselves were making it, but it was later revealed that AT Games was actually doing this, but it looks like they may be out. Chris Kohler from Kotaku translated the tweet that was circulating around the internet, and he basically says the Mega Drive Genesis Mini pushed back to 2019. US and European versions are now coming. Sega is now having a Japanese developer handle the software. Originally, it would be based on AT Games Flashback. So a lot of people are reading that as that AT Games is no longer involved in the project. And if that is the case, that is the smartest thing that Sega could do. Obviously, a prototype was probably up and running for the system that AT Games gave to Sega, and maybe it just didn't meet Sega's high quality levels. Obviously, Sega's been doing a lot of fan service. You see it with things like the Sega Genesis Collection on the PS4, the Xbox One, and Steam. Now coming to Nintendo Switch, you have the Shenmue 1 and 2 HD collection as well. So it looks like Sega is actually listening to fans, and this could be very, very good for the future of Sega. So if I have to wait until 2019 to get my hands on this for higher quality, I think a lot of people will be cool with that, myself included. But it does look like AT Games is off the project, and honestly, that is a very smart decision. Fortnite is a game that many love to hate, but low-key, I absolutely love the game. It is my go-to game when I'm laying in bed at night, can't fall asleep, power up the Switch, and play some 50 versus 50. It's simple, it's fun, it's pick up and play, and you can have a lot of fun with the game. But some people feel like the Battle Royale genre is quickly filling up and that some of these games are going to end up dissipating. You have Fortnite and PUBG leading the way. You have the new Call of Duty Blackout mode that's supposedly really good according to beta testers of that thing. So a lot of people are thinking that maybe Fortnite is dying and maybe Fortnite will be finally on its way out. Well, Epic Games just released a statement that pretty much ends all that controversy. Beginning in October, we're opening up inclusive competition where everyone can play and compete. To make that possible, we've had to harden and scale our systems and infrastructure. For example, August was Fortnite's biggest month yet, with 78.3 million of you showing up to play. This exposed weak points and allowed us to make targeted improvements to crucial systems such as stats and servers. So 78.3 million people played Fortnite in the month of August. 78.3 million. I don't think Fortnite is going anywhere. I think whenever the Call of Duty Blackout thing drops, it'll affect PUBG. I think Fortnite is sort of in its own little world. It's very accessible to pretty much anyone. You can just sort of drop into a game, and even if you suck at the game, you can still have fun, whereas games like PUBG require a bit more skill in my opinion. So I think Fortnite will be fine. PUBG is starting to see a bit of a dwindle, but 78.3 million people played Fortnite in the month of August, and I could just really see that number continuing to rise. One of the best features about Nintendo Switch's online has to be the cloud save support. It's very easy to use and very easy to do, and I was actually pretty impressed with just how fast and snappy it was in updating my saves to the cloud. Now, there is the whole thing of where you disconnect your service with Nintendo Switch Online, you lose your cloud save supports, but according to one person on Twitter, they actually called Nintendo customer service representatives and asked about this feature, and they were given the following information. I just called and talked to Nintendo customer support about the confusion of cloud saves. He laughed and said that would be horrible and mean if we deleted your cloud save immediately. Said there is an unknown grace period of at least a week or so. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. You know, a lot of people were upset that if you canceled your Nintendo Switch's online service for whatever reason, it looked like you would lose your cloud saves immediately, but it seems like it was just poor wording, possibly poor translation on Nintendo's part. And according to this customer service representative, there is a grace period. Now, of course, the only way to really know if there's a grace period is to let your service lapse. So I don't know if anyone's willing to take that risk, but it does look like there is a grace period, and that is a smart decision. Tokyo Game Show 2018 is well underway, and we're seeing some cool announcements coming out of it, and one of my favorite announcements was the announcement of Romancing Saga 3 coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, this game released for the Super Famicom in 1995, and Squaresoft has decided to bring it to the Nintendo Switch. They've done a new trailer for the game, they showcased some upgraded HD graphics, and I think it looks pretty nice. Now, we don't know if this game will be coming stateside, but with Square Enix's big push on the Nintendo Switch lately, if you saw that Nintendo Direct, it was pretty much a Square Enix Direct for the Nintendo Switch. I think we could potentially see this come stateside, and that would be a welcome addition, as I believe this game never officially released stateside. So that would be really cool in my opinion. I think the trailer looks really good. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments down below. SpiderMan is arguably one of my favorite games of 2018, and one of my favorite games I've ever played on the PS4. I absolutely love the game. I did a video talking about why I love the game, so make sure you guys check that out. But a lot of people were interested to see if it would be able to topple God of War as the strongest selling PS4 game for the year 2018. Well, so far so good, Spider-Man fans. It looks like Spider-Man will outsell God of War 4. According to Sony, Marvel's Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 sold 3.3 million units worldwide in its first 3 days of release from September 7th to September 9th, and has toppled the record previously set by God of War earlier this year as the fastest selling PlayStation 4 exclusive title. And that's pretty surprising to me, because I felt like God of War, you know, it's always been a Sony franchise, whereas Spider-Man has been a multi-plat franchise. But it's great to see this game selling well. It definitely deserves high sales. It is arguably one of my favorite games of 2018. I love, you know, web zipping around the city. A fantastic game. If you're a PS4 owner and you haven't picked it up yet, I highly suggest you do, as it is a top-notch game and deserves to sell very well. One of the things I do not like about PlayStation Now is the fact that it is a streaming service. I've never had good luck with it when I tried a free sample trial, and I always preferred what Xbox Game Pass does, where you download the games onto your system instead of streaming them. Well, now PSNow is adding downloading to PS4 and PS2 games via their streaming service. You now have the chance to download those games onto your system instead of streaming them, so obviously you'll be able to play these games in a better bit of quality. All the features are still there as well, so this is a big positive step in my opinion for the PlayStation Now service. It's still priced a bit much compared to Xbox Game Pass, but there is a sale going on right now, so I think it might be worth trying out if you're interested in trying out these games. I'm liking these different services. I think PS Now could be as good as Xbox Game Pass if they keep adding new games to it, and this could be a potentially good step for Sony. So smart decision to add downloading to your PlayStation Now stuff, and I think you're going to get some new customers because of that. Let me know if you'll be checking that out in the comments down below. Do you like Dr. Mario? Are you playing Dr. Mario on the NES online service via your Nintendo Switch? Well, you might want to be a bit careful, because it looks like something is happening with Dr. Mario, where if you play Dr. Mario, there is like a ghost screening of the game that burns into your Nintendo Switch when in handheld mode. Nobody really knows why it's just Dr. Mario mode. Some people are saying that it's when you enter in CRT mode, but it looks like a lot of people who have played Dr. Mario have had some screen burning. Now, this does go away. It is not permanent or anything. I don't see how it could be permanent, since, you know, it's just a game that's running on the actual screen. I don't know. The science behind it makes no sense to me, but there are pictures. There have been several reports from different people. I have not played Dr. Mario yet. I may be waiting to play Dr. Mario on the NES online service, because Nintendo hasn't issued a statement on this. There hasn't been any sort of update, and there's really no information as to what is causing this and when this will be fixed. But it is worth noting that if you play Dr. Mario right now on your NES via the Nintendo Switch, you might have some trouble with it, and you might have some screen burning on it. So be careful, and don't say I didn't warn you. And the final bit of news, one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time has to be Castlevania. I love the old school Castlevanias. I don't really like the new school Castlevanias, but I love that Castlevania is still fresh in people's minds. Of course, you have the Netflix series. Of course, you have Simon Belmont and Richter Belmont coming to Smash Brothers, which is super awesome. You also have the cool Bloodstains that are the spiritual successors to Castlevania. But honestly, I would love to see Konami do more with the Castlevania franchise. With all these companies doing tons of fan service, with all these companies like Sega and Capcom bringing back their classic franchises, franchises, it's time for Konami to do that. Well, Konami could be potentially taking a step in the right direction when it comes to this. A new listing on the Korean video game rating board has Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood being listed for the PlayStation 4. It's both listed in Korean and in English, which means that it could be coming to multiple regions. A lot of people are expecting a Castlevania collection of these two games to be released, potentially for the PS4 and other systems. Honestly, I think this needs to come to the Nintendo Switch as well. I know Switch port banking is lame, but when you have Simon and Richter coming to, your Nintendo Switch via Smash Brothers, a lot of people are going to be curious about the lineage of Castlevania. A lot of newcomers to the series of Smash Brothers, and a lot of newcomers to the Castlevania world. So I think this would make sense to be a multi-platform release. You're seeing Final Fantasy VII release multi-platform, finally, on the Xbox One, on the Nintendo Switch, on the PS4. So I don't think Symphony of the Night really still has that attachment to the PS1 anymore. I feel that that game could potentially come to other systems. Of course, Rondo of Blood is arguably the best classic-style Castlevania game ever made. So I hope this is just the start. I hope this comes to fruition, and I hope Konami is listening. Konami, people still want Castlevania. We don't want that 3D nonsense. We want standard 2D side-scrolling Castlevania. It's not hard. Give us the characters, give us the people we want, and potentially we will probably buy it. Alright, and that is going to do it for the Friday, September 21st edition of RGT News. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Make sure you check out the pinned comment in the comment section down below to enter the Capcom Beat 'em Ups bundle giveaway for the Nintendo Switch. There's still a couple days left to enter that contest, depending on when you're watching this video. And as always, thanks for checking out the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. Welcome to all the new subscribers that we've gotten over the past couple days. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.